Hey there, doodle lover. Are you ready to finally feel proud of your doodle's behavior? Not just their adorable face? Then don't miss my free 10-day Doodle Parent Challenge starting September 5th. It's the training reset you've been craving. Live, science-backed, and built just for doodle parents like you. Head to thedoodlepro.com/parent challenge to save your free spot now. That's thedoodlepro.com/parent challenge. I'll see you inside.
I've worked with a lot of doodles and they're all been super great. The puppies too, and some of them, because of the breeds they're mixed with, can be a little bit more prone to puppy biting, extra jumpy, a little bit more wanting to explore. So they'll jump on the counter, they'll go through the garbage. So we do see that a lot in those pups. But yeah, it does get unmanageable when it's your 8-week-old puppy jumps on you and it's cute versus your 70-pound doodle who's jumping on you, and it's not so pleasant, especially when guests come over and they're knocking them over.
Doodle breed dogs are easy to love, but can be challenging to parent. I'm doodle expert Corinne Gearhart, also known as the Doodle Pro, and I'm here to help doodle parents have a more fulfilling and rewarding experience with their doodles. No one has professionally worked with as many different doodle breeds or has more experience with doodles than I have. And I love to share my expertise in a fun, compassionate, and non-judgmental way. From my years of work and education in the pet care and dog training industry, I have an incredible network of skilled training, grooming, and veterinary professionals to share their knowledge with you and give you the doodle-specific answers you're looking for. I hope you enjoy today's episode as I help you parent your doodle like a pro. I'm thrilled to welcome Katherine Davidson. She is a trainer and owner of Dog Inspired in Canada. And Katherine has graduated from Jean Donaldson's Academy for Dog Trainers, where I'm actually continuing my education. So it's so nice to talk to a graduate of the program that I adore. Welcome, Katherine.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I know that you work with dogs who experience all sorts of issues, but you really specialize in a couple areas with dogs. Can you share that with us?
Yep. So most of the cases that I work with is any degree of fear. So separation anxiety is a big one. I do a lot of reactivity, but I really do specialize with puppies and teens. And I picked that niche or that specialty because I used to work in a shelter and I worked for different rescues a few years ago. And the dogs that we would get in mostly were young pups, maybe about a year and a half old. And this is when people really start struggling with their dogs when they haven't got some socialization done. They didn't do the puppy training and they realize how overwhelming it is to have a now large adult dog who is untrained and unmanageable. And this is when they unfortunately relinquish them to a shelter. So this is why I specialize with puppies and teen dogs, is to help pet parents have the tools and the information that they need to start on the right foot.
Yes.
So they can avoid the unfortunate heartbreak that could happen with having a dog who's unruly or unmanageable. And so this is why I really focus on puppies specifically and teen dogs.
For people who have doodles, most of the time they're found from a breeder when they are 8 to 12-ish weeks old. But for people who have a rehomed doodle or got them from a rescue, which is becoming more and more common as there's so many now, they're usually adolescents. And that's due exactly to what you're talking about. You have puppy behaviors or misbehaviors that are now in a big dog. The 8-week-old doodle jumping on you is different than the 70-pound one.
Yep.
And yes.
Yep.
And I like to say that doodles are lifelong learners that don't want to drop out after puppy kindergarten.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of doodles and they're all been super great. The puppies too. And some of them, because of the breeds they're mixed with, can be a little bit more prone to puppy biting, extra jumpy, a little bit more wanting to explore. So they'll jump on the counter, they're going through the garbage. So we do see that a lot in those pups. But yeah, it does get unmanageable when it's your 8-week-old puppy jumps on you and it's cute versus your 70-pound doodle who's jumping on you and it's not so pleasant, especially when guests come over and they're knocking them over.
And they're laying them out on the floor. So I invited Katherine to talk to us today about puppy biting. It is one of the most frustrating parts for new doodle parents or even experienced dog owners who forgot what it was like to have an 8 to 16-week-old puppy. There's great memes where it shows what you think you got, and it shows a tiny little adorable puppy, and then what you've got, it looks like a pterodactyl.
Rafter.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Yes. And people refer to them as Sharkadoodles or land shark. So I often have clients saying, they got another pair of my pants, or why are they jumping up and biting on me? So as it's one of the most frustrating, I wanted to have one of our puppy experts come and talk to us about it.
One thing that I focus a lot on puppy training is definitely getting some of those impulse control behaviors down packed. And puppy biting is one of the biggest ones. When I do puppy class, I always ask my participants to raise their hand if they have a puppy who bites. And everyone starts laughing because everyone is raising their hand. I have clients who have like Band-Aids around all of their fingers and they have tons of marks on their arms. And so a lot of times we maybe forget or don't realize that when we adopt a puppy, we are basically adopting a baby dog. So they come with teeth and they bite, just like any other animal that we could adopt. Cats bite, and we realize this. You get a hamster bites, right? And then all of a sudden we get a puppy and they can't bite.
Right.
We're much more tolerant about it, but with other animals. And of course, with dogs, they get so big so quickly. So we do have to get that under control, right? But I think it's important to realize that you adopted a puppy, puppies bite, and it's very normal.
They're not broken.
No, they're not broken. There's nothing wrong with them. And a lot of times people will ask me, or just they're worried that their puppy's being very aggressive. And they're growling at me while they're biting me, and it's so intense and it's scary. It scares me. And a lot of people with their own dog have a fear of dog. They fear, how their dog is reacting.
Yes.
And again, super normal. And so there's so many reasons why dogs bite, puppies in particular. So one to keep in mind is that they explore with their mouth. It's how they play. It's how they pick up stuff. It's how they eat. It's how they communicate. Like their mouth is our hands, basically. And so we can't tell them you cannot use your hands whatsoever, because then they're like, I don't know what to do myself afterwards.
Yes.
So we have to equip them with skills and teach them better ways of interacting with us instead of biting. So we have to teach them these skills, and they just don't learn it overnight. So they bite a lot when they play, which is very normal as well. But then something that I do include in my puppy book that I wrote is that there's different types of biting that's not play.
Yes.
So if you're trying to groom your puppy and they're biting you and they're biting the brush, that's a red flag for me. If
they're trying to talk to you, they're telling you something.
They're telling you that they're uncomfortable. Something about this interaction that they don't feel very good about. Let's say if they're sleeping, you try petting them and then they growl and they bite you. That's a red flag for me as well. Or resource guarding, if they try and snap at you or bite at you when they have their food or when they have a bone or a toy, this is all possibly resource guarding. And it's very common in certain breeds, particularly golden retrievers. If you have a golden doodle.
Yes.
And I've had many golden doodles that are resource guarders. And I'm like, I wonder why.
And when you're saying, Katherine, red flag, I want to clarify for our listeners, that doesn't mean red flag you have an aggressive, bad dog.
Yeah.
To me, I'm hearing we have to pay more attention to this. Trying to tell us something, right?
Yep. And it's something that we need to pay particular attention on and start working on them with, which is if you're going to a good puppy class, which all of you should, this is something that I address in puppy class. We do resource guarding, preventative exercises. We do body handling exercises for grooming. We do vet care exercises as well. Like we incorporate all this stuff in our puppy class to prevent any of these fear issues or resource guarding issues with your puppy. But Exactly. Doesn't mean that your dog is aggressive or a bad
Right.
dog, but it's just something that needs to be addressed. We need to pay attention to it and we need to help them feel better about it.
I completely agree. And when you're talking about how puppies, they don't have thumbs to explore their world. Both of us are parents. And I think of if you have had a human child, think back to their early toddler time where they put everything in their mouth and they
And they
weren't trying.
bite.
Yes. And they weren't trying to eat it. It was how they explored the world around them.
Yep, exactly. And that's it. We tolerate it so much with our non-canine
Yes.
family, whether it's a baby, a human baby, a cat, hamster, like I mentioned, we tolerate it a lot more. And then when it comes to our dog, we're just like, you cannot bite at all. And we have to nip in the bud right away, which I understand. And I do
Pun intended.
agree that once again, that's it. We have to address it and start working on it.
Yes.
But it's a behavior that's very normal. Puppies bite. And sometimes, especially if you're not a first-time dog owner, if you've had dogs before, and you think about your last dog, you often have love goggles on where
Yes, that's a perfect way to say it.
they were so perfect and they were so wonderful. And now I have this demon puppy in my house that is just causing havoc. And it's because we have those love goggles. You have to take them off and you realize, oh yeah, my other dog did do this. Yeah, okay. They did bite on the furniture. They did bite me quite a lot. I remember having to get some Band-Aids and we realized they're not as perfect as we thought they were. I have this with my own dogs.
Yeah, same.
I have a Great Dane and he's a handful. And I think about my last Great Dane and he was just the most perfect dog. And I'm like, no, he used to steal food off the counter. He used to go through the garbage and he ate my shoes just like this one. It's just like, I don't have him anymore and I have my love goggles on.
And remembering his behaviors as an adult after you had done so much training and he had matured.
Yeah.
So we're comparing apples and oranges, really. Yes, I hear it a lot with my clients of, I just wish they were like, and then they talk about their late dog and how frustrated they are with their puppy.
Yeah. And I mean, it's normal to compare, but it's important just to remember, you did it too.
Yes. So you're really right about we don't want to be permissive with biting and just be like, they'll grow out of it one day. Then we have a teen dog who's got adult teeth, bigger jaw, is bigger and is mouthing or nipping us to get attention or whatever. We do want to train it, but they're not abnormal. This is a normal phase for them to be in.
I think that's a good point too, because a lot of people, they don't feel that puppy training is very important. They don't go to puppy class. They wait till socialization is over. They don't contact a trainer because a lot of the puppy stuff is not bothersome. They bite a little bit. Yeah, okay, it's uncomfortable. Yeah. When they jump up, it's not the end of the world. And then 6 months happens. Or even 5 months sometimes.
The focus is often on housebreaking and house training. And that's the most bothersome thing. But everything else is little, tiny, and fluffy.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people just go through the first couple months, just letting it slide, saying they're going to grow out of it, which that's another thing. Dogs don't grow out of wanting to bite and to chew. It's a favorite pastime. They enjoy it. It's like us reading a book or watching a movie. Chewing is their favorite pastime. And so if we kind of treat it like it's going to go away, not going to go away, and you're going to have a rude awakening at 6 months old.
So what is your first step? If somebody's coming to you early, they're joining your puppy class, 8-9 weeks old, and they've got their little Sharkadoodle, their little Velociraptor, what are the first steps that you tell them to do?
So the first thing that we want to do with any new puppy is to teach them how to control their bites and how to control their mouth. So we want to teach them that a little bit of mouthing is okay as long as it's soft and doesn't hurt, doesn't puncture or cause bleeding, but a little bit of mouthing is okay. And how we teach this is through play. So we got to play with our puppies and we can play tug, we can wrestle with them. There's nothing wrong with doing any sort of play like that. And anytime that it's too hard, we'd either redirect them or we just take a pause and play and then continue on again. And as they're biting and their mouth is just getting a lot more precise, not biting as hard, And this is important to practice so they learn how hard to control their mouth.
Yeah.
Then we could start saying, okay, no more biting. Like it's off limits now. My Great Dane, he bites with my husband when they play. He'll bite him on his arm. He'll bite his head.
And
Like,
my
he does
husband
not-
loves playing like this.
Yeah, and it's fine. It's fine. And my Great Dane knows not to do it with me. He does not play like that with Nero. So there's no play stops. We don't play like that with Mama.
I don't like that at all. And my husband loves it.
Yeah, it's especially him. He's so big. So I'm like, no jumping on me because he's going to knock me down. No biting me. But they do learn that. So it's important for the whole, if you're living with more than one person at home and you have a family, it's good for other people to practice at home. The only exception is young children. So anything under than 10 years old, I would say I would not let them play too rough with the puppy. I don't want to start any bad habits or anything like that.
Right.
That they can't manage. A younger kid can't really get a puppy to stop playing, where we know what to do, and we're, especially if you work with a professional, they can coach you on it. Younger children have a hard time setting boundaries and rules, so I wouldn't do that with young kids. But yeah, it's important for everyone in the family to practice puppies' play skills. And alongside with that too is encouraging our puppy to go play with other dogs. So they learn a lot of their bite inhibition, their ability to control their force of their mouth with other puppies. And they're the best teachers for that. And so bringing your puppy to a puppy socialization class or a puppy social or doing one-on-one play dates, those are like the best options to help your puppy practice those play skills.
And what you're saying there is really crucial, Katherine, of with other puppies. So that doesn't mean the 11-year-old neighborhood dog who doesn't have any desire to play with your puppy, letting them, quote, correct them and pin them down and respond out of frustration. That's not fair to the puppy or that adult. They aren't asking for that pestering and those sharp little needle teeth. Doodles are lifelong learners and they don't want to drop out after puppy kindergarten. No matter how old your doodle is, they still have a lot of learning to do and they want an enriched and interesting life with you. Don't let your doodle be a first grade dropout. Do you want to be the first to know how? Go to thedoodlepro.com/university to be the first to find out. Early admissions open soon. When you're also talking about play ending, that's what dogs do with each other when one goes too far. They remove themselves and they say, I don't want to play like that. And you playing with your puppy is desirable to them. When you say, oh, that was too hard, like that mouthiness, the teeth got like a little too much pressure on my hand. What does that look like when you end that play because they've gone too far?
So usually I'll just like stop abruptly to play. If we're playing tug or if we're wrestling, like I'll just withdraw myself. Sometimes it's hard for a puppy to just stop with me. So I might need to actually physically remove myself. You can physically remove your puppy, but I find it's always better if you remove yourself. So just like stepping over a gate and just giving them like 5-10 second cool down, time out just to relax, and then I'll come back. You could always try something like that. But I like also directing with a toy. And a lot of times too, people will say, I try redirecting with a toy and they don't take it. The thing is, if you just take a toy and you present it in front of their face, they're going to be like,
boring.
What is this? What do you want me to do with this?
It's so boring compared to your flailing hands.
Exactly. We're flailing our limbs around and we're shaking them off of our legs. And we're basically playing tug with our pants. And so we're so much more interesting than this dead toy that we just presented to them. So I do show this in my puppy class as well, like how to play tug and how to use a toy to redirect your puppy. So I'll start making it act like prey. So making it like go around the floor and I'll move it around and I'll hide it and I'll bring it back out and I'll flail it around. And so this is when it catches the puppy's attention. They're like, oh, I like
this.
And then I'll just shove it in their face and take it away and then do it again. So they're trying to fight at it and try and catch it. Ways of enticing them to really want to go after that toy. Because if we just present it to them, they're like,
no thanks.
Your hand is great. Looks more interesting.
Right.
Unfortunately. And yeah, just knowing how to properly redirect them with a toy is important. they'll be much more successful with it. And then alongside that, so we want to play with our puppy just to help them work on their play skills. But I also want to make sure that I'm meeting their. So I want to make sure that their bitiness and their wanting to chew is met. Because like I said before, it won't go away. If you're just never going to give your dog chews, never going to give them toys, it's not going to go away. The need is always there and it can actually grow over time.
They're to find something to chew that. Yeah,
exactly. This is where they start chewing the chair legs and on the sofa and the pillows and on the door frames. So we want to make sure that we're meeting their needs in a way that's appropriate for them. Which chews you give your puppy, honestly, you have to just audition different types of chews. I bought so many. And you just have to see what they like and what's interesting to them. Kongs are great because you can stuff them with all different types of food and keep them busy with that. But making sure that we do provide them an outlet for this behavior because, like I said, it's not just going to go away. And so a lot of people often think that if we're giving them all these chews and all this stuff to keep their mouth busy, are we creating a monster?
A biting.
They're going to be a biting, chewing monster.
They're insatiable.
And it's actually quite the opposite. When we fill their cup and their cup for chewing is full, most of the time they're going to be happy doing something else. They'll be happy to go take a nap or to snuggle with us or to play with us in a way that's a lot less bitey. It'll meet their needs and it'll help relieve that need of wanting to bite and chew everything. So it does help with puppy biting when we give them a lot more opportunities and outlets to exhibit this natural behavior that they have.
I like the vet recommendation of if you can indent the chew with your fingernail, then it's safe enough for your puppy's teeth.
That's great.
There's some like antlers and stuff. Like we aren't trying to break any teeth. We want it to have a little give.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the yak chews, the ones that are made out of like a cheese or a milk or whatever, those are pretty hard too. And most dogs are not that into it. They're a little bit too hard to chew on. But here, fan favorites are definitely bully sticks. You can get some that have no odor because they smell.
But the smellier, the more enticing if you can get past it yourself.
Yeah. I'll usually just put them in their room, or your puppy has a crate, putting them in their crate. Maybe remove their bed so it doesn't get all icky.
I like to remember that when I'm auditioning these treats, they might like at 8 weeks old, the bully sticks. I'm going to present it again at 9 because they're evolving just like our young children do with their taste. And you might see people recommend put yogurt or peanut butter in a Kong and freeze it. Your puppy might not figure that out yet. You might need to put some really loose things right on the edge of the Kong before they're learning the food puzzle.
A little bit of cream cheese at the front of it, and that'll be easy enough for them to want to play with it. Because if we are shoving stuff all the way at the back and freezing it, they can't get it. They don't understand the concept of this game. Right. So we kind of have to go slowly with them. Yes. Yeah, that's a really good point. But I've actually had a client where I was doing day training. So I'd go to their house and train their dog for them. And she's like, I tried every chew. I can't find something. So I actually brought the dog to the pet store. And I had her like sniff every single chew. Like I was pointing every single one out. And I swear to God, this dog did not choose anything. There was nothing that interests her. And finally, when we walked back around, she saw the stuffies. Oh my God. It was like, she was like going nuts. She really wanted the stuffy. So I just ended up buying her a stuffy. So yes, there is some dogs that are just like, they're not interested in chews, but they do like to chew, just not what we would hope that they would like to chew. So getting them stuffed toys can be a really good outlet for them as well, even if they're not ingesting it or anything like that. Yeah, exactly. And when it comes to stuffies, that can be pretty expensive because some of the stuffies are, if they're like chew proof, as they say, they're usually like $30, $40. And
right?
It's not true.
Said like a Great Dane, Mom.
Yeah. There's nothing that's chew proof with a Great Dane, unfortunately. I actually bought like those. It wasn't a bark box. It was like one higher than that, like another company, but it was just like more for like power chewers. I forget what it was called. And they had a guarantee that if your dog destroyed it within 15 minutes, they give you a new one.
I think it was 3 minutes. Like bully something, maybe. Yes. I tried
There's
one
too many
of those.
bully brands out there. Bully Bunches is the bully sticks.
I've tried some of those so that they would last longer with my guest dogs. But then they're boring. It'll look sometimes it'll look like just look like a block of rubber.
Yeah.
And they're like, this doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that was the problem with that box too, is just half the toys Harlan wasn't interested in. If it was just like a rubber, like not really like a hard rubber like ball, he's like, you want me to do this? But if it was something he could chew,
Yes.
softer, he ripped it apart in 3 minutes. So I was like, okay. So what I do, a little pro tip.
Yes.
I go to the dollar store and I get the stuffies for dogs at the dollar store and they're like $3. And if my dog destroys a $3 stuffy, I don't care. Versus that $30 stuffy, that one hurts. With the $3 stuffy, I really don't care. So I'll just buy a bunch of those. I'll rotate them so they last a bit longer.
And letting them fill that cup on their foraging and tearing behavior that is innate. Like, that's an innate need instead of your sofa cushion.
Yeah, there's so many behaviors that like we're like, oh, this is really unpleasant. Anything that has to do with exploring when they want to seek out food and they're jumping on the counter, going through the garbage. If we give them opportunities to explore for food, it's filling that cup. If we're giving them opportunities to dig or hiding a bunch of stuff in like a snuffle mat or even in grass and they get to do that, that meets that need and they'll be less likely to do it on their couch. So it's important that there's not just biting of needs that we have to meet, but others. And you know your dog best, you know your puppy best, and you'll know what activities they like to engage in. And then you just have to find appropriate outlets for it.
So first you're saying when you're dealing with puppy biting to remove yourself for a quick break or to replace with an enticing toy, making the toy really enticing. What other steps do you recommend for puppy?
I go through like a bit of a checklist when it comes to biting. So we go through, okay, did I play with my puppy and they got enough one-on-one time with me? Check. Okay, yes, I did that. Did they have enough outlets and enough chewing opportunities today? Okay, yes, check. I did that. Did they get opportunities for physical exercise? Is my puppy biting because they're super amped up because I was working all day and I just got home? Yep. So bringing your puppy out for a short walk or playing tug or playing fetch, just something that they can, or even play with another puppy, a way to burn their energy. Okay, check. I did that. Another thing that we do want to check for is, okay, I did all this stuff. Did I do too much? Yes. Does my puppy need a nap? It's just like children. They get super rowdy and obnoxious when they're tired. And I call this like the 8 o'clock zoomies or the 8 o'clock like shark time, where they just are going absolutely bananas at a specific time in the evening. And just because they're so amped up from their day.
Overtired.
Yeah, they're overtired. And it's like, all right, it's bedtime. When my daughter gets like that, my human daughter, I'm like, okay, guys, time to go to bed.
It's like they lose access to their brain, their thinking part.
Yep.
Just like our kids.
Yep, exactly. And sometimes they just need some downtime. It might happen during the day. It's a lot more often at night. Making sure that we give them an opportunity to go relax. So we can put a chew with them in their pen or in their crate. We can give them a massage and just try and stroke them and help them relax. Any sort of very calming activity would be really good for them. But yeah, just going through that checklist. And then finally is teaching our puppy different ways of interacting with us that don't involve biting. Teaching them skills. Touch my hand. Instead of biting my hand, touch my hand.
Showing them what you want to do instead of just to stop.
Yeah. We can teach our puppy to leave it or drop it. Those are all also really good for biting. I like teaching body handling. So having our puppy sit and I'll touch their ears and I'll give them a treat and I'll open their mouth and I'll give them a treat. Just teaching them that like when I'm touching you and I'm petting you and I'm grabbing your tail and your paws, not to bite me. So this is a really good no biting exercise. So it's meeting all those needs and making sure we go through the checklist, but then also equipping our puppy for this life with us, which means teaching them skills on how to live with a human. The no biting can also be incorporated in the stuff that we teach them. Life skills or obedience skills, as you sometimes would call it. Those could be very helpful on just teaching them alternatives. So it's another way of interacting with my hand instead of biting me might touch my hand. And that's one of my favorite ones.
What do you think of teaching what people call kissing or licking as an alternative behavior?
You can do that too if you like it. I taught Harlow to give me kisses when he was a puppy. And I remember when my sister came over, she's like, why don't you teach him not to kiss? I'm like, he's my dog.
And I like it. My kids and husband love licks. I don't like face licking. I'm like, I know what you just licked. Yeah, one little lick is fine, but like covering me. Luckily, doodles aren't too drooly. Yes. Another thing that people will hear differing opinions on is yelping. So if a puppy were to bite down on you to imitate what another puppy would do and make like a kind of noise. Yeah. Some people feel like that's speaking their language. Some feel like it's going to create even more arousal. What are your thoughts? Sit and stay right there. We'll be back right after this quick break. Hey, quick break, because I've got something just for you. If life with your doodle feels more chaotic than calm, you're not alone. But you don't have to do it alone either. I created the Doodle Parent Challenge to help you go from frustrated and confused to confident and connected in just 10 days. No force, no fear, just science-based tools that actually work for doodles. It's free. It starts September 5th, and I'll be there guiding you live. Head to thedoodlepro.com/parent challenge and grab your spot now. Let's make calm feel possible again.
I've tried it both ways, doing the yelp and not doing a yelp. It can sometimes serve as a cue that you're going to leave. So that can be a good way. But so you don't necessarily need to yelp, but you can just be like, all right, time out or game over. And then you walk away. So you don't necessarily need to yelp. And I've had it happen where I did yelp and then the puppy was just like, oh, that was fun. And then
let's do more.
Like, you're the squeakies.
Yeah.
It can go either way. And anything that you learn or you read, whether it's online or with a trainer, sometimes it's just seeing what works and adjusting. So a lot of it is adjustments. Even advice that I give to my clients, it's the general, what usually works. And if that doesn't work, okay, we'll figure something else out and make an adjustment. Mm-hmm. So especially with the yelping thing, I've done it both ways and that's it. I've had the yelp where no go. That didn't work.
And when you listen to Katherine, as she said, time out, she didn't go time out or no. Like she didn't use a harsh corrective tone. And I'm sorry for our listeners for their ears that I just yelled into them. But this is a normal biological behavior that we're teaching them alternatives to. Yeah. Can you explain why you're not using like that harsh voice and tone?
When we're saying no, or we have that Batman voice with our dog, we're trying to scare them or we're trying to intimidate them. We're trying to get them to stop. And I'm not going to lie, oftentimes it does work. When we say no, and our dog's, oh, that was scary. Yeah. And because we scared them. And you might not think it's absolutely terrifying because you're not like a zombie vampire looking thing where that's terrifying, whereas you just said no to your dog. But it's on the individual and what they feel is scary and what intimidates them. If someone yells at me, I'm very sensitive and it would definitely make me not feel good. And so for someone else, if they get yelled at, they're like, water off a duck's back, whatever, right. It's fine. So we have to take that with a grain of salt and see, okay, for the most part, we're using fear and intimidation on our puppy to get them to stop. Yes, it'll work, but if we're relying on tactics like that, they can only take you so far. And they do come with a whole load of risk when we use that type of training. So for example, like, let's say if you're doing a quick internet search on how to get your puppy to stop biting, and you see something like rolling your puppy on their back. So that's something I see often. You're physically restraining them, which is extremely unpleasant, and you're intimidating them. And so what this ends up happening is, yes, it could temporarily stop the biting or it stops the biting altogether. But what you've created is a dog who is now uncomfortable with being restrained. So when they have to do vet care, when you have to do grooming, when you're just trying to pet your puppy, it's going to
Yes.
be uncomfortable for them. And it doesn't have to be 100 bad experiences. It could just be one. And that's enough for your puppy to say, don't touch me. I don't like
Mhm.
that. And so it's the same thing for that alpha roll where you turn them on their back.
Yeah.
I've seen as well, like holding their muzzle or sticking your thumb in their mouth on their
It's a
tongue.
really common one of the thumb in the mouth and putting pressure
Yeah.
on, or a flick
Yeah.
of the nose.
Flick of the nose, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like I said, it could be one experience, it could be 100. And what you've just done is teaching a puppy that when your hands come near their face, bad stuff happens. And so when you're trying to clean their eyes, when you're trying to brush their teeth, when you're trying to clean their ears, or just simply pet them, they're uncomfortable with it because they've had a really bad experience with your hands next to their face. So it makes grooming and vet care and all that stuff really difficult, and it can make it worse over time. So when we see stuff like that and you're getting advice from a friend or a dog park goer, or even sometimes pet professionals, they'll give this sort of advice. If you feel like it's potentially scaring your puppy or hurting them or intimidating them and it doesn't sit well with you, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do it. You can be so much more proactive with your training and teaching them and guiding them. We're not being permissive when we use positive reinforcement or any fear-free based techniques. We're not being permissive. We're proactively preventing and teaching them skills so they don't do these behaviors, whether it's biting or jumping or anything like that. We're teaching them a better way of doing it. And we don't have to scare or hurt them or intimidate them, because it does end up creating bad experiences for them, which can make regular care or just even petting them so difficult.
And I didn't get my dogs to have them fear me. I got them to have a connection and a relationship with them. And it isn't worth it to me to maybe even get the fastest result if the path is breaking their trust with me.
It is. It's exactly. It's not why we got a dog. We didn't get a dog to want to scare them or hurt them. It's we want to have fun with them and be with them and make it. We want to be pleasant and live happily together. And with one of my dogs, I got her way before I was a trainer, and I used a choke chain on her. And still to this day, she's scared of me. Still to this day, she's scared of me. If she sees me like I'm trying to pet her, she's like, "Ugh, don't touch me."
We all
I'm
do
like,
the
"I'm
best
sorry."
we know.
Right.
You turn on TV and odds are you're probably not going to find science-based humane training. We just do the best we know. And just like child rearing, your parents, likely they were spanked or even used a belt on, and they probably knew better with you. And then you know even better with your kids. It really follows the same trends of we do better with what we know.
Exactly. We make mistakes and it's unfortunate, and we try to do the best we can. And that's why podcasts like yours and our platforms on social media, we try to promote as much as we can good training, humane training, because there is a better way of dealing with this, especially puppy biting. I know you wanted to stop. You wanted to stop yesterday.
Yes.
Exactly. But if you see the guy down the street with his shock collar training, he's like, I can get your puppy to stop within an hour. Odds are it's not good. And it's not going to be good for your puppy. It can be detrimental to them and their overall well-being and your relationship with them. And with puppy biting, it's not for forever. You have to just take the time to teach them, give them some patience, and it does get better. It does. My dogs don't bite me, right? They're older. They don't bite.
Same. So we're not letting this continue. And I do find if you continue to allow biting and you don't remove yourself or replace or show different alternative behaviors, it can continue. But I do see a peak period where developmentally, I don't know if it's the teething or it's just that's how they explore and play. What are the weeks that you see the peak in biting?
I definitely see it when they first come home. So they do maybe not the first couple of days because they're a little bit shy at first, but then once
Yeah.
they start coming out of their shell, they're like, oh, this is fun. And then,
The shark appears. Yes.
yeah, definitely like around, I would say like the 5, 6 month mark, around adolescence too, is a pretty tough time for a lot of people and their pups. And if you weren't proactive, even if you were, sometimes they could be a little bit testy.
Yeah, it's like they forgot what you taught them. Yes.
And it's totally normal. They're going through so many changes, not just physically that they're larger, but hormonally, there's a lot of differences going on there. Brain development, their brain is literally being rewired. So all of their training that they just had with you for the last 4 months literally goes out the window because they have all this new information they're trying to process and their brain is just overloaded. So that's why we see a lot of regressions around that 5, 6 month mark, even sometimes a little bit later, but more or less around that time. So adolescence could be a tough period too. So if you don't know.
But these are both finite periods.
Yes.
Doesn't last forever. The investment that you've been making, the rapport and the training you've been doing with your dog will pay off and teaching them what you want them to do. We see a lot of families where the adults will say, our puppy isn't that interested in nipping or biting me, but my younger kids, it's a whole different story. Can you help explain to our listeners why that is?
So kids have a hard time setting boundaries or rules when it comes to play. So let's say if I'm playing tug with my dog and I practice this a lot, I'm able to get them to drop the toy and to sit and wait, and I can flail the toy and they'll sit still and we'll continue playing as they go. So we have rules to when we play certain games, and with children, they have a hard time following or being able to set those boundaries, especially if they haven't practiced. Keep in mind too, like kids' brain development, it's just priorities.
Yes.
They don't learn all these things. And even if they do, it's a lot of repetition. And for the most part, I like to give them ways of interacting with each other that avoid getting them both too amped up, children and puppy. So doing something like training tricks, touch the hand, play dead, spin, like those are fun. And the kids have so much more fun with your puppy like that because they actually taught them something and it makes them feel so proud that they taught their puppy something. But yeah, it's just because kids have a hard time following those boundaries. And specifically with anyone with a toddler or a very young kid.
Yes.
That's a no bueno. We don't. There's always a parent in between. And that's really important because definitely when it comes to a very young child, 1, 2, 3, even 4 or 5 years old, they have a very hard time. And puppies are very overwhelming. They jump and they bite and they bark. And so it's very overwhelming. And it's important to have an adult that's in between and that's curating everything and showing him how to play together, but being in the middle of all of that. So this way, as they grow older together, they learn how to properly play together, but they don't learn those rules overnight and it takes a lot of patience and consistency, but kids aren't able to do that. We are. So we have to be responsible adults and teach them and give them other opportunities. So like I said, like teaching them tricks to train with. If you have a younger child, I have my daughter, let's say I'll ask my dog to do something and then my daughter will throw them the treat.
And what you just said there was key. You have your daughter throw the treat.
Yes. Yes. Not from her hands.
We got a little Sharkadoodle. And you're talking about training the children what to do, not just what they're not allowed to do, which is the same thing we're doing with our dogs. It's the same learning theories. Where we're teaching both. And it can be that there's a baby gate sometimes if you're not able to be between. When we brought home my standard puppy, Hershey, my youngest child was 3, and kids move sporadically. Like they're unpredictable, just like the toy that you described of making it move like prey. Little kids do the same. It's really unpredictable how they're going to move and it can feel scary. So we taught that dog that she wasn't allowed to be on the sofa because the high sofa, she couldn't reach it in the beginning. That was a safe zone for my 3-year-old. If he got nervous, he was able to retreat It's not as great as like an X pen or a baby gate. It was a zone that if she was too mouthy or too bitey, that he could feel safe and retreat to the sofa. And just
Yeah.
planning out some of that management.
Yeah, management definitely when it comes to kids and puppies and dogs. It's just if you can't supervise, then they go on either side of the gate. It's non-negotiable. It's like that in my house too. My dogs are 8, 10, and 13, and I still do it that way. If I have to go take a shower and my daughter's watching her iPad, the dogs are in their room with I take zero chances. If I'm in the kitchen, same thing, and I can't watch them, they go into their room with the gate closed. It's just preventative and just making sure nothing bad happens. And especially if you have a young puppy that bites quite a bit, your back can be turned for a second. Kids are fast, but puppies are faster.
That is very true. I enjoy using flirt poles with kiddos, particularly because it creates a distance. So if you're listening, a flirt pole looks like a fishing pole, where it's like
a cat toy, but just longer.
Just way bigger and stronger bungee. So if you're having a really hard time with the dog wants to play and their restraint is really still growing and building, but you want to be able to play with them, it's a nice way to have a bit of distance while still getting them that outlet.
Yeah. There's so many ways to encourage our children to interact with our dogs in a way that keeps them both safe and keeping them from starting bad habits or hurting one another. Those are all really great. And most of the time, just having an adult in between is the best thing. And I know it's not always possible. We're busy and we have things to do, the house to clean and food to make. But this is where management's going to be your friend. I'm a dog trainer and I manage my dogs 100% of the time. If I can't watch them with my kid, they're in their room. And it's just the way it goes. And it's just better to be safe than sorry.
Yes, absolutely. Another quick question I have for you that's a pet peeve for puppy parents are the biting of their shoes and their pant legs. So we're talking about management, so I could guess what you would say. But if that's something they're struggling with their puppy, what's your advice?
So management is always my first go-to with any sort of behavior that we're not into. So we want to prevent them from continuing that. Keeping your puppy on leash is really great because you can hold them back from biting you.
Yes.
Having baby gates too, like when you're about to lose your cool, like timeouts, it's a form of punishment as well, which we try to avoid doing too often. But sometimes we just need that moment or else we're going to lose it. It's just step on the other side of the gate, give yourself a minute, breathe, and then come up with a game plan. Do I go get my puppy a chew? Do I go get them a toy? Do they need a nap or whatever? Just reassess what it is that I need to do for them. But then I also like to teach leave it. And we teach leave it initially with food. So you'll see we put food on the shower and drop it and stuff like that. We do that with leave it, and I do this in my classes as well. And I show people how to use it with actual everyday items. So my puppy class, I always do a paper towel. So I show them the leave it process with a paper towel. And then I tell them to go home and you practice with your socks. You practice with your shoes. And the same thing with your pants. You can practice with your pants. You can practice with the leash if they're a leash biter when you go for walks. You can practice this, but you practice it in a moment where they're ready to learn. So you're not in that moment of crazy.
And you're not yelling,
because that's not going to work.
No.
So you're in a space where they're ready to learn and they're ready to go. Everything that I do, I break it down to step-by-step training plans.
Yeah.
You see how the academy is. That's how we do everything.
Yes.
And just bite-sized pieces of learning. So you teach them one step at a time and to eventually just leave a piece of food that's in your hand, to eventually leaving a piece of food that's on the floor and maybe a little bit longer, and then introducing it with another item. And so I introduce multiple items so that my dog or my puppy can generalize it. They don't learn that when I say leave it with food means leave it with a paper towel or leave it with my pants or leave it with the leash. They don't understand because it's so different. You have to teach them that.
Yes.
So we start with the food and then we go with something different and then another one and another one. And this way they will eventually start catching on. Oh no, leave it means leave it, even if it's for the slippers instead of the shoes or the leash instead of the kids' toys or
Yes.
so it's a really good one in a way to be proactive in teaching our puppy to kind of leave it alone. So I like that one as well.
And that's building that impulse control that you described in the beginning.
Right.
And as that takes time for them to generalize and you to get those repetitions in, I like to not wear flowy pants. And I don't wear shoes with ties around the house. That shoestring looks like prey as I'm walking around, just begging for them to grab on.
Yep. I once wore a sweater. It was a Christmas sweater and it had like little pom-poms on it. I wore it to a consult and I never wore it to a consult ever again after that. And you can imagine why. We do live and learn even as a trainer.
It's so true. Katherine, you have such wonderful advice for parents of puppies and adolescents. If they wanted to follow you, where could they find you? And if they wanted to work with you, how could they do so?
So you can find me on Instagram. It's doginspired.ca. That's my website as well, doginspired.ca. And I'm also on Facebook. It's Dog Inspired Training. I also have a puppy life skills book that I wrote earlier this year.
I enjoyed
You can find the ebook. Oh, I'm so glad you liked it.
I did.
You can find the ebook on my website, so doginspired.ca, or you can find it on Amazon. It's the Puppy Life Skills. And I am doing a puppy training 101 webinar that's free that you can attend. And if you can't attend live, I always make my webinars available for recording, so you can always watch it later. So I have one for puppies and one for teen dogs as well that you can check out on my website.
Wonderful. I'm going to link to those in our show notes. And Katherine, it's such a pleasure. And to meet another Academy student, that's an extra pleasure too. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining me on this episode of the Doodle Pro Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. And I invite you to follow me on Instagram at @TheDoodlePro for behind-the-scenes peeks at all of the adorable doodles I work with daily.